quirky is for kickers. We don't love our quarterbacks to be quirky or our coaches. Jerry Glanville was quirky as a coach. And I feel like Aaron's aging like a quirky quarterback would, where that the teams that he really was interested in, according to reporters I trust, weren't that interested in him. Do you think that's just age or some of his quirkiness?
Yeah, listen, to answer your first question, it is a good fit. I do believe Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers is a really good fit. And I told you before, the veteran quarterback market is like musical chairs. There's not a lot of chairs. The music stops. You know, all you need is one chair, but there were maybe two chairs, and then at the end there was probably one chair. This is the only team that he could go to. Mike Tomlin is well respected by veteran NFL quarterbacks, who he was as a defensive coach, who he is as a leader. The other part of this, I think, is Arthur Smith. I think Arthur Smith is a little bit misunderstood as a coach. I played on teams with Arthur Smith as a coach. He is beloved. He is well respected. He was on the defensive side of the ball as a coach. When I started in Tennessee, he was there. Then he was on the offensive side. You got to kind of connect the dots on resume as well. Arthur Smith was on staff and replaced Matt LaFleur in Tennessee when he got his first start as an offensive coordinator, first opportunity. So like the thing for a veteran quarterback, you don't want to go in and like learn some foreign language. He's not going to have to do that with Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith, although people think of him as like run the damn ball all the time, I'm not adaptable, I believe he's very adaptable. At the same time, I think Aaron Rodgers needs to be adaptable to be a run-first quarterback, like that was the plan in New York with the Jets. It never really happened. So I think that this is a good fit. Aaron Rodgers has the weapons, the quirkiness, as you say. It's okay in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is the kind of organization that can handle it. I think they're going to thrive from it. I think this is a good fit for a lot of reasons, and kind of look out. I think look out for this team. Look out for this offense.
Ooh, all right. We do not get a lot of positive Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers stories here. Everyone is just kind of going negative. And I've always ridden the fence a little bit with this. I do believe that Aaron Rodgers is better than what he showed last season. And so I do think that there's a lot of truth to the fact that he played a lot better than people believe he did. Will there be enough in Pittsburgh? That's where I'm kind of just like, I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling either way. But I also just don't believe that this team is just not going to be good. And I'm such a firm believer, and I bang this drum so much, and I've been talking about this a lot with regards to a lot of these younger quarterbacks, especially now J.J. McCarthy coming in from Minnesota. I value experience and veteranship to a tremendous amount, and I keep trying to figure out the best way to relay this to other people, especially if you didn't necessarily play sports. And I actually think Matt Hasselbeck did a pretty decent job because he was talking about speaking the same language, although in a slightly different way than how I kind of use it when I talk about speaking the same language. And, you know, in other sports, when you're young, of course you're developing in your arm and your skill set. And, you know, basketball, you're going to improve your shooting percentage and all this type of stuff. And in football, as a quarterback, you're going to do that as well. You're going to develop your mechanics, your footwork, your arm can get a little bit stronger. You know, your eyes are just going to be trained a little bit better. Like all the pure physical aspect of it. But really in the NFL, especially as a quarterback, like the vast majority of this development is really like all up here. It really is like your deep understanding of like what you need to do in a game in any given moment. How do you play winning football in the NFL? What are defenses going to throw at your way? Okay, they started doing this to you. How do you now, how do you troubleshoot that? How do you evolve out of that? You know, whatever it may be. And that's why we know in football. I mean, just watch Hard Knocks, man. For those of you who never played, like you can see that so much of the preparation is really off the field. I mean, it really, really is. You have film study in other sports, baseball, basketball, you know, soccer and all that. And you're always watching film and looking at other stuff. But usually it's, in a lot of ways, it's usually a little bit different. Like sometimes you're like, especially in baseball, it could be like looking at your mechanics and it can be like, look, your arm's dropping or, you know, whatever it may be. And in basketball, you definitely are doing that. Although so much of your development is going to be like, get in the gym and shoot. You know, like I need you to shoot 500 threes a day. Like you need to be a better. You're a 32% shooter. You need to get higher. And it's not going to be like, let's watch film. Let's watch film. In football, it's like, hey, you know, you're missing these throws. And let me sit and we're gonna watch film, and I'm gonna explain to you like look where your eyes are right now. They need to be over here, not over there. Like it's gonna be so much more of like a cerebral way of looking at things. And again, I'm not gonna pretend like there's still not plenty of work to do on the field itself. But just think about it in football, quarterbacks, they don't even really practice. Like football in general, they don't. But like especially quarterbacks, obviously wearing a red shirt, can't be touched and all that. Like they don't even practice in the same way that they play. Basketball and baseball, like you're going hard. I'm not gonna act like you go as hard as you would in a regular game. Like, you know, if you're practicing basketball, you're not like diving for loose balls and stuff, but it's like it's not like you're like, well, when I shoot like even softer when I shoot. Like it's just you're still playing ball, you're still playing defense, you're still dribbling, like you're still going at it, you know? And so it's just a different level of development. And that's my long-winded way of saying is that like veterans are worth their weight in gold, man. Like there's just such a difference between having truly established veterans. It's why someone like a Justin Fields, who's got such more physical juice left to him, yeah, I said it, compared to an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson, but the rest of the game is not there, and you can see it. You can just see it. I think it's actually so perfect to watch Justin Fields and Russell Wilson with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the same team, same coaching staff, etc. And you can just see it. You can see instantly how Russell Wilson can run that offense compared to Justin Fields. It's just night and day. There's just such a fluidity. You don't need to know anything about football, but you can just watch it and see that there's such a fluidity. Now, again, it obviously did not work well for the Steelers eventually, and they ran out of steam, and that's fine. But this is something that people keep, you know, people refuse to accept or acknowledge that a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers still has that ability. Now, of course, a lot of what makes Aaron Rodgers special over the years was his ability to move. I'm not going to say that he was Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson out there, but like he wasn't a statue quarterback. He wasn't like a Tom Brady necessarily. And so you can see that when he's kind of like, you know, pushed off his spot, like it's not the smoothest, it's not the most fluid out there, but when you keep him upright, when you keep him protected, when you can kind of keep him in a, you know, in a more conservative offense, we'll say, the guy can still pick you apart, and he still knows exactly what the defense is bringing, and he knows exactly where everyone needs to be on offense. Like he is still the commander out there, and does it, you know, as at the highest level that you could possibly do it. Like his ability to run an offense right now is going to be, no one's going to be better than him, quite frankly, in terms of how to run it and what to expect and pre-snap and all this other stuff. So that is already something that Aaron Rodgers can bring. Now, in terms of the physicality, that is the question mark. And I'm still willing to be like, okay, we're now like 2 years removed from the injury. He got to play all of last year, and that was coming off of a year of him missing the entire year. So it's like I'm more willing to be like, listen, his body should be a little bit better. Is he going to be Aaron Rodgers from like 2012 or something? Like, no. But like, is he going to necessarily be how he was physically last year? I think probably not. I think it's fair to say that he'll be a little bit of a step forward. So I really am intrigued to see what Aaron can do. And kind of what this offense can do. I do believe that they will have legitimate success. I think one of the a fair take that I heard is like the Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers will get to the playoffs and then they'll lose. Like nothing will change for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's going to be the same thing that we've seen now for years. And I think to me that's probably my floor for the Steelers. You know, I understand some of the takes of them just like not being good enough, and that this is going to be the first losing season for Mike Tomlin and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, unless Aaron Rodgers really falls off a cliff, and if this defense falls off a cliff, I just don't see that happening. So I do think that we can kind of get a repeat, very similar to what we had last year, but the big key difference should be is they should ideally not run out of steam and this time around. And I think their offense will be way more dynamic and better run than Russell Wilson was able to do, because Aaron Rodgers is fundamentally, to his core, a better quarterback, a better decision maker. He's just a better quarterback. I mean, that's not controversial by any stretch of the imagination. So the question mark just remains is, what do you have left physically? And I think that is fair, but I'm not going to pretend like I have any strong answer with regards to that. But he did play decently well. The other big question mark is, how does he fit into the fold of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Who is Aaron Rodgers willing to be from a personality and leadership perspective? I thought that he would be a little bit better of a leader and personality wise when he got to New York. That was not the case, and I thought he would, and I defended him throughout the run. And I feel like I want to do the same thing again and be like, no, I think he's going to be great with Mike Tomlin and blah 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 blah. I'm not prepared to say that, not because I doubt it, but because I already got burned. And I'm a firm believer that, like, when you have a prediction that ends up being wrong, it should cause you some hesitation. And I call out all the people on TV for not doing that. Like, Nick Wright will be like, I don't think the Eagles are going to make the playoffs. And then they, like, make the playoffs. They're getting to Super Bowls, and then you're still confident that the Eagles aren't going to be good enough. And my whole theory is always like, you were so wrong about them before. Why do you still have the confidence that you're right now? Like, you like, literally the opposite thing happened that you were so confident was going to happen, and yet you're still now continuing with the confidence, even though you've continued to be proven wrong. So with Aaron, in terms of his leadership and his mindset and all of that, I've been proven wrong, but maybe not as extreme as saying, like, the Eagles aren't even going to make the playoffs and now they win the Super Bowl. But I'm still kind of like, I had stronger feelings about this before. They didn't end up being correct. So I'm just going to take a little bit more of like a passive approach to that, rather than like double down and be like, no, this is what's going to happen, or abandon my take altogether and be like, no, the opposite's going to happen. So I'm just, in terms of how he fits in the fold with Pittsburgh, it's kind of more of a wait and see situation. But from a strictly like X's and O's and football aspect, I think there's still enough juice there that I think they could have a lot of success. What does that success look like in the grand scheme of things? To wait and see. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers? This is one of the most positive clips that I've seen. I mean, Matt is pretty much straight up saying, look out for Pittsburgh. I mean, that is what he's saying. He's like saying, like, look out for Pittsburgh. And, I think Matt Hasselbeck tends to be pretty positive. He's pretty optimistic with a lot of these things, like very similar to how I view things. But yeah, we'll see. But let me know your comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.